Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of TJ Hates Quitters, silent podcast coverage of the Challenge All-Stars Season 3. My name is Kari, and I am joined by two new guests this week. I am so excited to have them because not only are they new guests, but they are new podcasters in the Silent Podcast Network, where we are anything but silent. And so let me introduce you to two new friends. First and foremost, Diego. Diego, how are you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Hi, I am so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this day since you told me to join you. And yeah, it was a really great episode. I loved it. Probably my favorite of the season so far. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be here.
Awesome. And we also have Javier joining us. Javier, how's life on a Monday?
So life is great on a Monday. It's a nice sunny day, even though I'm inside. But no, I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited to talk about the challenge. Super excited for this being my first podcast and just ready to get into the episode.
I am stoked to have you both. I love having new people on. It will be great. We had Tito and Davey last time as new podcasters as well. So we're just keeping the new coming. Like this might be a nostalgic and OG season, but we're not about that shit here. We're about all the new stuff. Bring in the newbies. No vets. So
Love that.
before we
Fresh
get into yes, exactly. Fresh Meat Season 3 here on Silent Podcast. Before we get into the episode, let's get into your challenge fandom. And don't worry if you started watching yesterday or you started watching 20 years ago. I don't really care. I just want to know. Tell me about how you got into the challenge, when you started watching it. I kind of already heard a little bit of Diego, so I'm gonna have him go second. Javier, tell me about your challenge fandom.
So honestly, I was trying to trace back when I started watching the challenge, but I could not exactly figure it out. But what I do remember is that the first season of The Real World that I remember watching was The Real World Denver. Like I remember I would sit down with my brother every week and we would just love The Real World Denver so much. So I'm assuming I started watching around that time as well. So maybe I think that was The Real World. I want to say The Duel, like around 2007, 2008. That might have been my first Real World, my first challenge. And then I've honestly been on and off with the challenge, so my issue with the challenge is that sometimes it's too oversaturated. Like every few months you have a new season. So I remember I would stop watching, then I'd come back, and now I'm back on the challenge, but I went a few years without watching the challenge. But I do think my first one was The Duel.
Okay. So you've been around for a little bit, in and out.
Yes, in and out, exactly.
Do you have a favorite all-time challenger?
I think my favorite all-time challenger is probably Darrell. So that's why.
Good answer.
Last episode was not a good episode for me, but or 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2 episodes ago. Last week we had my guy Wes beating Yes in the elimination. Yes, so yeah, Darrell is a popular answer on this podcast. You're probably the third or fourth person who has said Darrell is their favorite. So that's a great choice. You can't go wrong with Darrell. He's funny. Yes. He brings it each season he's on. We love Darrell around here. Diego, tell the people when you started watching the challenge.
So I started watching the challenge. I binge watched all the seasons 2 or 3 years ago. Started with Dirty 30 because I came from Big Brother. So just seeing Davon, Natalie, all these people, I love them. And I started watching and I binge watched the whole thing. I loved it. And then I just have not seen All Stars 2 and the last season. That's the only seasons I haven't watched.
The last challenge season?
The last regular challenge and the last All-Stars.
I have a confession in that I started it, but I had some shit go down in my personal life that I just didn't watch TV for a couple months, and it's the one thing that I haven't gone back and caught up on that I need to, besides Survivor 41, but there's just too much complaints about it for me to even care to go back. That whatever. I know who won and everybody hated the season, but was happy with the winner, except if you were Xander, is that his name, fan or whatever. So I haven't gone back, but I will go back and watch the last of or the rest of the season that I kind of fell off on. But I mean, do you know who won last season?
No, I don't know who won last season.
Okay,
of All Stars?
No, obviously, of season 37 of the challenge.
No, I don't
all right,
know.
I won't say it then. But Diego, who's your all-time favorite challenger?
I think it's Laurel.
That's a good choice as well. She is a beast.
Yeah, I love her.
We thought
She
for
gives
a
me all the
minute
energy I
that she
need.
might come back on this All-Star season when they brought in Beth. Like there was Reddit was like, it could be
Oh
Laurel
my
because she was at the
god.
season premiere and she isn't on the
Well,
season, so that doesn't really make sense. But she was just there for a good time, I guess. Unfortunately, no Laurel.
Yeah, I would have loved that. I just love what she brings. Like, I always love a chaotic player that
Mm-hmm.
is gonna bring me all the drama, all the action, just everything. I love to hate her sometimes, and yeah, yeah, I'm here for it.
What I love about Laurel is a lot of the times with the women, and this is unfortunate, they can either bring the drama socially or the athleticism. And a lot of times it's hard to find someone who can do both. And Laurel can. And
Mhm.
so that's why,
Yeah,
like, regardless of the time she's annoying or I don't want to say problematic because you can't ignore those, but like she's had some lows on this show for sure. Regardless, like I'll always appreciate her because she brings everything to the challenge. She isn't just good at
yeah.
one part. She can do all of it and she can do all of it well. So I'm definitely a
Yep.
Laurel fan as well for sure. Who is your favorite on this season, Diego?
On this
They could have been
season,
eliminated already. It's okay. We're more than halfway into this. So
yeah, my favorite was Sylvia.
oh,
So
so you're
oh,
here for the
yeah,
funeral.
oh,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. But
yikes.
I loved it until the very last moment. I loved her till the very end of this episode. Um, yeah, I just relate so much to her. I guess
Mhm.
I just think she's really funny, and
She is.
she always keeps me entertained. I love her confessionals, and I think she's pretty okay at the challenges. Like she's not the best, but she's okay. So I really liked her. Really sad to see her go, but yeah, I'm here for it.
Javier, is it safe to assume that Jarrell was your favorite on this season too then? Or do you have a second favorite since you got to
Yes.
use one favorite for one? We can allow you to have a second, I guess.
Yes. Um, so my second favorite is Wes, actually. I feel like that's controversial. I feel like a lot of people
Nope,
don't like
this is a
Wes.
Wes house. We support Wes
Yes,
on this podcast. I am a
I
Wes
yes,
person through and through.
yes,
me
thank you.
too.
Like
Not
Wes just
yes, we don't
brings
support yes, we support Wes. You have the wrong S there, Javier. I'm just kidding. Go
I
ahead.
don't hate Yes. I just think he's like kind of boring. Like his gameplay doesn't really make sense, and he's too
Yeah.
self-righteous. So I was glad when TJ
Mhm.
called him out last week. But no,
Mhm.
Wes is definitely one of my favorites. He brings the drama. I like how he brings that. He brings like a player on reality TV that's hard to play, who's like smart, who like thinks ahead, but is also willing to like start drama without like I never feel like Wes lays low. And I like those players who don't lay low at all and just always like guns blazing. And that's what I love about
Mhm.
Wes. And we've seen players try to imitate him in the future. I'm talking about Devin, by the way. I feel like Devin wants to be a
Uh,
Wes, but he's not. I said it. But yes, I love Wes.
Great choice. I applaud. Any Wes haters can just keep it moving. No, just kidding. Stay and listen. But I do love me some Wes. I've always been a Wes fan for all the reasons you've said. All right. Well, now that we've covered our challenge history, let's real quick talk about I don't want to say like overall the season, but like where are you at with this season? Let's say how about what is your high from this season and what is your low from this season? It's like an icebreaker game, just in the least lame way possible, hopefully. So while you guys are thinking, I can give mine so you have a little bit of time. My high is undisputedly West beating Yes last week. And as a through and through West fan, and just kind of like the online drama that went on after with like Wes exposing Yes and then Yes trying to expose Wes and he like just wasn't doing it. And also it's kind of one of those like fuck yous to the Wes haters because I feel like Wes haters just don't understand Wes where it's like he's loyal to a fault. Like name a time Wes has screwed over one of his allies. You can't. Um, and so for him to not only be like, okay, Brad, like, because Brad, who's supposed to be one of his best friends, the whole season's been like, Wes is a headache in these games. He's squirrely, like, you can't trust him. And for Brad to basically say, like, Wes, put it on the line then. And Wes was like, anything for you, bro, and then follows through and like comes through on it. Like, to me, that is my high, my undisputed high. My low is losing Tina because her commentary is hilarious. She is so funny. And because we lost Tina, we got Beth. So that's my low.
Okay.
Diego, what do you got for highs and lows for this season?
So I think my high for this season is the cast overall.
Mhm.
I just really loved like how it was like a mix of newer people and like the older people. I really enjoy what pretty much everybody brings. Like there's not really anybody in the cast that I don't like. I think everybody has a pretty unique personality, and I think the dynamics in the house are pretty fun. I'm really, really enjoying this season, and I think it's thanks to the cast because there's really nobody that I don't like.
Mhm.
So that's probably my highest of the season. My lowest, it would have to be losing Sylvia, just because I'm just really sad. I really thought she was going to win, just because I felt like they were pushing that storyline that it was gonna be her. I don't know. I feel like I got I got caught up in the episode when she talked about her family and how much
Mhm.
she was doing this for them. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to win. Like, oh my God, this is why. And then, yeah, she ends up going. And yeah, that's probably my lowest.
Yeah, it's like, is that a winner's edit or a loser's edit happening right now? It's hard to tell on the challenge because, like, it felt like this season on Survivor, anytime you got personal with someone, it's like, oh, you're getting voted out this episode. It's been real. Where sometimes in the challenge, like, you get to know more about someone. It's because they, like, want you to like their winner. And nope, they pulled the old switcheroo on you this week. Sorry, Diego.
Yep.
Javier, what are your highs and lows from this season?
So my high actually was this episode. And honestly, my high was seeing MJ go. I do not like MJ. And honestly, the reason why I'm excited to see MJ go is because I want to see Janae play without MJ. Like I like Janae, I really do.
Mhm.
But I feel like this season, like every confessional, she keeps talking about MJ, talking about MJ, talking about MJ. Like I want to see her in the game without MJ because I've liked Janae in the past challenges. So it's gonna be great to see Janae like try to maneuver this game since she's not in the majority alliance. Like I feel like when she played on the second in season 2, she did have like more pull than I feel she has this season, and she's not in the treehouse. So I think it'll be interesting to see how John A plays moving forward. And my low is the same as yours. It is Tina leaving. I love Tina. She brings mess. I feel like she's always ready to like argue and like fight, and she just has the best confessional. She's super funny. So I was very sad when Tina left.
Yeah, TJ and Tina's banter alone is worth her being there. Like,
Yes,
just keep
exactly.
her on a bench on the side with her broken wrist, like, and just let her talk to TJ. I will listen to that for the whole
Exactly.
episode.
Let her narrate. Like it'll
Yeah,
be fine. I'd love it.
please. I would love that. I do have a question. I'm gonna save this question actually. I'll save it. It's definitely more relevant once we get into the episode. All right, so let's get into this. This season, a lot of the times the episode begins the next morning after the arena, but in this instance, they bring us right in after the arena, and we get one last, like, thank God Beth's gone out of almost everybody as they walk in, especially Veronica. Do either of you have something you want to say about Beth before we lay Beth to rest here for the rest of this season? Unless, I don't know, she somehow miraculously makes some comeback, like there's a battle
Please
back
no.
house, which I know, please.
Throwback.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anybody have any hot takes on Beth, or do we just want to see her gone forever? Javier's got it. Javier, these are Beth's parting words. I'm not going to comment at all after, so make them good.
Okay. Uh, honestly, first of all, Beth is messy, and I love mess. Like her whole little thing with Janae and MJ having an affair. When she said that,
Oh
my
my
jaw
God.
dropped. I was like, "Girl, what are you saying right now? This is a crazy allegation to just throw out there." So I love that about Beth. And I also, not gonna lie, I kind of see where Beth is coming from, where she just kind of like DQ'd against Janae. In my opinion, that's honestly one of the things I hate the most about the challenge. It's so annoying when one person is being like told by everyone, like, do this, do that, Janae, push here, push there, and Beth is getting absolutely no help. Like, I'm not saying Beth should get help too, but I wish that the challenges would just not speak. Like, it should be a rule, like, stop giving help, because I've seen there's a lot of eliminations where someone wins because not because they're better at the challenge or because they're better at puzzles or because they're stronger, but because the outside audience is like telling them what to do. So I really like that Beth said that. And yes, should she have should she have DQ'd? Probably not. She probably should not have left like that. But I do understand her frustration because I get very annoyed when these contestants are saying push here, push there, or put this puzzle piece there. So I did like Beth for calling that out as well, because I feel like that's a big issue that I see as well in the elimination. And even in like the regular challenge, which we kind of saw today with the puzzle, I guess we'll get to that eventually. That also pisses me off, like telling people what to do. So
interesting. All right, we'll talk about that when we get to the puzzle. All right, well, bye, Beth. See you later.
Bye.
Okay. I said I'm not gonna say anything about Beth. We're gonna keep it moving. All right. Then we get some MJ content where he's giving us this, like, people don't want to see a winner win again, which I think is true, especially with such a with it being only season 3 of All Stars. It's one thing if it's like the regular challenge and we're almost 40 seasons deep, like half the people have been to a final array, whatever. But I get MJ's point. Like, I won last season. No one wants to see me win again, but I want to keep winning. Except Javier. Javier doesn't want to see him keep winning. Diego, where are you at with MJ before this episode? Since obviously we know that he gets eliminated. How are you feeling about MJ?
I mean, I thought he was okay. I mean, he wasn't really bringing anything into the season until the whole drama with John A. Like, I don't dislike him, like I said. And I thought last season, I saw the clips, and I obviously know he won. So, I was excited, but kind of been plain this season. Not really liking him. And yeah, really have no thoughts on him. Yeah,
I thought MJ was boring last season too. I don't know. Yeah, okay, Javier's with me on that. I figured. So especially coming in as a winner, I feel like you have to play in a certain way because you have that big target. And it just, not that MJ to me was like ever exciting, but it really just dulled his opportunity to be exciting. And he got caught up in this thing with Brad, and like he only had one knee, and it just didn't seem like MJ really had the opportunity to win again. Like, the cards were very much stacked against him, especially because, all right, Brad is fucking killing it this season. Like,
I have thoughts on Brad too.
Okay, we'll get into the Brad thoughts, but like, especially when like that's your biggest rival right now, that's not the guy to have as your biggest rival. Like, I know Jordan has the reputation of being like amazing. Wes has his ups and downs. Like, you don't want to go against Wes in a swimming event, whatever, but like, Brad is crushing everything this season. And so if your biggest rival on the season is the guy who is consistently winning first place, like, that's not a good rival to have. Sorry, MJ. Yeah. I think your time is definitely going to be short on this season due to that. And we saw that happen.
Yeah. And is his knee, like, because we got that little segment where he was like, my knee is not as bad as everybody thinks. I was like, oh my God, is he like actually saying this? Like, is he serious? I was like, I don't know if he's lying anymore. No. But yeah, I don't know. He might have just been saying that, but yeah.
I think he was just saying that. I think he was trying to like manipulate as much as he could. And I mean, it obviously didn't work. Clearly, like, he didn't try and shit. Like, it was basically from what that mud went on. You saw it like hyperextend on TV. And I don't know if either of you ever hyperextended a knee, but it's not fun. It's not a good time. You're in pain for a little while. So
can I say one thing about MJ?
Yeah, I mean, you can say 5 things on MJ if you want. This is why we're here. Go ahead.
I just want to clear the air. I do not hate MJ. I just think he's boring, and he doesn't. I agree. He was boring season 2. He was boring season. Like, he seems like a nice guy. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't seem problematic. He just seems boring. So I'm just not an MJ fan, and I just want to see Johnny like adapt to the game, and that's why I was happy. So I'm not here like to bash MJ. I'm just saying he's a boring character, and that's why I don't love MJ. You know.
Oh, so I should delete my tweet that Javier hates MJ. Like,
yeah, I don't need if he even has Twitter fans to get in my mentions. You know.
All right, good to know. Then we cut to Sylvia talking to her treehouse girls, and she like openly says in front of Kellyanne, like, I'm gonna use the sabotage on you, and Kellyanne just like doesn't acknowledge her presence. Diego, as the resident Sylvia defender, where are you at with this move?
I was like, what is she doing? I was like, she's talking like, because later on the episode, she's saying Kellyanne is on a power trip. And I'm like, what about yourself? Because she was like,
Right.
I'm not on a
You
power
better.
trip because feeling like I can sabotage somebody. But she's like, literally, I was like, what are you doing, Sylvia? Uh, but yeah, I wasn't feeling that. But I mean, she's been consistent with her Kellyanne hate, at least. Like, she's been going at her the whole time. So I get why she's just gonna keep going after her. And, of her confessionals, I like that she's been real in that sense, that she's always been coming for her. And yeah. But I was like, what are you doing when she was just openly saying that?
uh, Javier, where do you fall in the Sylvia Kellyanne little rivalry that we have
Mhm.
here?
So I felt like just on Sylvia this season, I feel like prior to this episode, like I was like, Sylvia's a nice girl, like she's playing the game, she's playing smart. But then this episode, she was just being very like, I felt like playing up this mean girl attitude towards Kellyanne. Like I didn't get that vibe from Sylvia the first few episodes, that she was like so like anti, like I feel like she wanted Kellyanne because she wasn't out in her alliance. But this episode, it made it seem like she like hated Kellyanne. And I just didn't understand where that came from. Like this episode, like I feel Sylvia did a 180. And I was like, okay, either she's going home or she's winning this episode. Because I like that, like you were mentioning earlier with the reality TV edit, like Sylvia was getting so much more screen time. And then she was getting like almost a villain edit this episode, which I feel like she wasn't getting the past few episodes. So I was like, oh, there's gonna be a turning point for Sylvia in the game. But yeah, honestly, I'm not a Kellyanne fan, but I was rooting for Kellyanne in this fight because I'm tired of the Treehouse running the game. So prior to this week, I feel like the Treehouse has ran every week, and I like power flip. So I am rooting for Kellyanne to flip the script, and I'm glad she did this episode. So even though I don't normally like Kellyanne, I did like Kellyanne in this season. I have liked Kellyanne just because she's had her back against the wall, and I like to see the underdogs kind of come out on top. And it was great to see Kellyanne finally succeed.
Yeah, I 100% see that. It like Diego, I've always liked Sylvia, and especially I think her season with Joss was just
Oh my gosh.
like I don't know how you couldn't like Sylvia coming out of that season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you watched her real world season though, you saw some of this bitchiness. Like this is not it wasn't surprising for me because in her real world season, she definitely had a lot of this. She kind of had like a partner in crime, kind of like the Kayla to her this season. I cannot remember her name. If Katie's still here, she might remember her. But they tried to. She was like supposed to be on a challenge season once and didn't. And I can find it, but like the bitchiness doesn't surprise me. That's not it. It's I think it just kind of like got to a point where like okay, she you can't really play nice in this game anymore. Like you don't have to be mean, but you can't play nice when as if you don't win, anybody can go in. Where she was kind of like insulated before, now she's just like claws out. Let's get it.
Yeah.
After we get a phone call home from Kellyanne to her boyfriend, and she's battling like metal poisoning. Was that it? Like heavy
Yeah,
metal and mold
mold
poisoning.
poisoning.
Where the fuck was she that she got this?
Something to do with the doghouse. She was building a doghouse in the woods. I don't know.
Like Kellyanne, you got to get these things inspected or something. Like her boyfriend seems really nice, and good on Kellyanne for landing someone that wants to spend time with her because I do think she is a lot.
That was shade. That was shade right there.
You've seen Kellyanne throughout her history of this show. Like she's great for television because of who she is.
Agreed. Yes.
She's not someone that I would like sign up to spend a ton of time with. But it's not in like a she's a bad person way. Like just we are in two different circles. We will always there will be no overlap in that Venn diagram. So before we go to the daily challenge, we get Brad basically going on a soliloquy about MJ. And here's what I wrote down from it, and then we can talk the Brad MJ thing a little bit more, and we can talk about Brad a bit. So Brad says MJ will do whatever it takes to not go in. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. I don't even know if his hair is real at this point. Brad said MJ told people that his knee wasn't even as bad as he's been saying it is. I just don't believe anything at this point. So Brad not only is completely out on MJ, but also thinks he's a liar, a big old liar. Javier, I know you said you have some thoughts on Brad. Give them to me.
So last season, I thought Brad was just plain boring as hell. Like when he went home, I don't even remember on All Stars 2. But this season, I literally wrote down Brad is giving me finalist vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is getting a lot of confessionals. He's actually like, do I think Brad is a good game player? No. Like last week with the whole West thing, like I mean, I guess it worked out for him, but I don't feel like he did it for like a gamer reason. He did it more so like he actually would have been genuinely hurt if West didn't go in. So do I think Brad is a mastermind? No, but he's clearly like a beast at these competitions. And like the fact that these people are not getting Brad out is insane to me. And I feel like this year he's getting a lot more confessionals. He's actually talking about some strategy which is different than I feel like the Brad from season 2. And no, I really think Brad is going to be at the end. And honestly, I would not be shocked if Brad takes it home. He's clearly a beast. He seems to have a great alliance. Wes and Nehemiah and Mark are probably never going to turn on him. So I think Brad has it to really go to the end and win this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well. Diego, where are you at with Brad this season? I know you didn't get to see last season, so here's a quick summary. Once they, like in the middle of the season, they kind of split into pairs. They didn't kind of, they did. Basically, there was a challenge where TJ said pick someone to work with. And then at the end of the challenge, he's like, oh, by the way, this is your partner for the rest of the season. And he was with Jody. And Jody, challenge beast, but boring as fuck, which then in turn makes Brad boring as fuck because his partner, like, I campaigned for Jody to be back this season because like I told you, I appreciate when a woman can like bring it athletically, but she doesn't like have the social component of it. She just wants to like win and not hurt anybody's feelings. So Javier's not lying when he said Brad was boring last season. However, we have Brad this season. And what do you think of Brad, especially just overall in terms of what you know about him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's so good this season. Like, I literally wrote, Brad is insane. Like, he is just so good. Like, in that mud pit challenge, I remember I was like, he was just going at it. Like, he just grabbed balls and then ran. I was like, that boy, like, somebody needs to get this man out. Like, he's just so good. And then I think it was last week when he, I don't know if purposely, but kind of low key got Wes to volunteer to go into elimination for him. You know, I don't know how purposely, strategically he wanted that, but he was kind of like, oh, you know, like he's gonna pick me, and then kind of like used his emotional connection with Wes to get him to go in. So I really like that. So I think he's really great this season. I'm really wondering when somebody's gonna want to get him out.
Yeah, this was a conversation we had last week, especially Tito was like, I wish he took ownership of like, I manipulated Wes and got him to do this. But like,
Yeah.
I don't think Brad knows how to manipulate. I think he's a very simple person. But I think like the biggest difference in Brad this year is in past seasons, he would have gone into that elimination because he wouldn't have spoke up for himself, but he would have been pissed off about it. He either gets sent home or he comes back and he's angry and miserable the rest of the time in there, but instead like advocated for himself ahead of time and managed to not go into elimination, which I think like is gameplay for Brad, whether or not it's the gameplay that like us strategy nerds are into. It's definitely a step up for Brad because Brad is usually just like, he kind of reminds me of a caveman in a way where like just simple, big muscles, will lift rocks and like have them crack and stuff. But otherwise, like we're not getting a lot out of him emotionally or strategically or anything. So good on Brad for not only escaping elimination, but continuing to destroy the competition. I am incredibly impressed with Brad. I am going to a brunch in a couple of weeks where Brad is going to be. Jamie from The Real World will also be there. And
oh my God.
I'm gonna try and get Brad to come on this podcast. That's
Oh
what
my
I
God,
have.
please.
That's what I
That
have
would be
decided. Because
amazing.
up until this season, if you said like you would have the opportunity to talk to Brad for 45 minutes or to an hour, like would you do it? I'd be like, what the fuck would I talk to him about?
No, right?
But I think I can now. I think I could. So check back in after June 26th. I might try to get Brad to come on here. So
Please.
We're manifesting.
yeah, we're trying our best. So stay tuned. But all right, let's get into the daily challenge. This daily challenge is called Stacked. Before we get into the rules of it, we get a couple of check-ins with some of our players. And this is where we get a Nehemiah check-in. Now, pre-podcast, we were talking Nehemiah a little bit. And if you watched All-Star Season 2, sorry, I just read Valencia's comment. So real quick, because I actually bought my ticket to this brunch that I'm talking about live on a podcast last week about the real world because Jamie's going to be there. And I was like, I don't know. Do I want to talk to Jamie? Do I not want to talk to Jamie? And I was like, fuck it. I'm buying it. So Valencia bringing up like, oh yeah, I forgot Brad was going to be there because we mentioned that Jamie was going to be there so often. Sorry. So it's like a joke from a different podcast, but you got me, Valencia. You got me good there. So we have a Nehemiah check-in. Last season, Nehemiah is the centerpiece of the season, really. He is the leader of the King's Palace. He makes it to the finale, comes close to winning. He is loud and proud and just loyal to a fault to his crew. This season, we have the opposite Nehemiah. We've seen him on our screens maybe 5 times. Like, he's not getting a lot of airtime. And he says, like, I'm playing a stealthy, low-key game. What are you thinking about Nehemiah's gameplay this season, Javier? What are you thinking about our boy Nehemiah here?
Yeah. So I like Nehemiah. And I do think he's playing a very like good low-key game. And I think he is gonna make it far. But I feel like Nehemiah's getting the edit of the like he's gonna get thrown in like right before the final and then just be sent home. Which makes me sad because I feel like Nehemiah is such a great personality. And that's why I like season 2, where like, yes, the safety, I actually was rooting for him in the safety palace. And like I like those big players. Like I love those people who are in your face or like there for like, you know. So that's what I kind of miss that side of Nehemiah. But I do see that why this season he is trying to be more low key. And hopefully it pays off. Don't get me wrong. I hope he makes it to the final again. He gets to run a final. But he's giving the edit of like final, like he's gonna get eliminated literally the episode before. So we'll see what happens with Nehemiah.
Diego, I know you didn't get to see last season, so what do you think of his gameplay this season?
I agree. It's very low key, and I agree that he's getting definitely an edit that he's just gonna go home like right before the final because we're seeing nothing from him. But I mean, if we were to see nothing from him and then he somehow still wins, I wouldn't mind that. You know, like if he just managed to play a very low key game where he doesn't even get put in the edit and then he ends up winning. Good for him, you know?
That would be a very season 1 yes edit if Nehemiah ends up winning this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he like has to play a different game this season. He would have been dumb if he tried to come in and like obviously he had the guys back of like Cyrus, LT. There was no tech this season. Melinda had to go home early because of her ankle, but I think that would have just made a massive target. Like people would have gone for him as hard as people are going for MJ, in my opinion. But it sucks that we lost all those guys at the beginning. But I think that's like the best thing for Nehemiah's game because he obviously has those connections with Brad and Wes, but it's not prevalent. Like it's not this huge, we're jumping up and down and singing the song after each win and all this stuff, which by the way, I loved. I was rooting for them. I'm usually more of an underdog person. And it did feel like last season, the underdog switched almost every episode to the King's Palace and not the King's Palace. But I just loved like what he brought. And so like, he was just being very unabashedly like proud and happy and loyal to his crew and everything. So I'm a Nehemiah fan. I hope he does great. I think it's hard to root against him, to be honest.
Yeah.
We get an explanation of our challenge after this. So I'm going to do my best to explain this. We start off with all 7 men or women that are left. We'll talk about the men's heat because I happened first, and that's where my brain's going to go. So we have the 7 men. They have like almost like this plexiglass that they have to scrape like paint off of until they find a 4-digit code. They get the 4-digit code and they go and unlock a paddleboard, but there's only 5 paddleboards. So we're going to lose 2 people after that first round. Then they have to paddleboard out to however far out. There's a bag of puzzle pieces there. They have to paddleboard back to shore, but there's only 3 podiums to complete puzzles on, so we lose 2 more. So from there, those final 3 compete. The first one to complete this 3-layer puzzle. So it was very like Survivor-esque puzzle in my opinion, where I think we've seen it on there, where you have basically cylinders that have been cut into different pieces, and you need to make all 5 cylinders the same height by adjusting the pieces. You put a star on, and then you continue to build up until you're able to put that 3rd star on top. So we had a little bit of everything here. We had some physical, we had some water, we had some mental with the puzzle. I thought it was a great overall challenge in terms of like watching it as well, because I feel like some of the challenges that we get in daily challenges just aren't exciting to watch. Like the math one that we had. Given, like, I have 2 degrees of math and I fucking love math. However, that was boring. Like, at least with this, you also like don't have to wonder of like who's in first right now, or like you have the different heats or whatever. Like everyone's going at the same time. So I really like this challenge. Javier, do you have anything you want to add in about like the overall structure of this challenge, the gameplay of it?
Well, honestly, I mostly agree with you. Like, I really like this challenge. I literally wrote down here that like this challenge was giving me like finale vibe because it has so many like segments and parts to it. And same thing, I wrote down also that like as opposed to like those challenges where they were just standing there doing a math puzzle, which to me honestly seemed easy. That I don't know. I guess I'm not on top of a 35-foot story building. Maybe that made it hard. But other than that, I was like, this challenge seems so easy compared to this one, which is so like it's intense physically. You have to do a whole puzzle. So I just really liked like the whole structure of the challenge. I thought this was, I hope we get more challenges like this moving forward that like test you on multiple facets as opposed to like that, for example, like the one phase, like that little math challenge type of thing. So I really like this challenge.
You pulled a Katie and definitely mismeasured that building. It was only 110 feet, not 35, but that's fine. Like 35 feet to me, like, isn't that scary? That's like on the 3rd floor of a building. So I'm like, no, it was 110, but no, I agree with you. Diego, do you have anything you want to add about this challenge before we get into it?
Yeah, I love this type of challenges where it's like multiple, phases of it. I really love the paddleboarding section, just because I live by a lake and people just go paddleboarding every weekend. That's like a thing we do here. So I was like, oh, I would be so good at that, like even
You'd
though I
be the
probably wouldn't.
Kellyanne of it. You like do yoga every morning on a paddleboard.
No, not like that, but I was just telling myself. And yeah, I really loved it. Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I want to go stand up paddleboarding. That's something that I haven't done, but it's on my list of things to do. I do not need to like do yoga on it. I don't need to do yoga ever, but I do want to go stand up paddleboarding. This kind of like reminded me, maybe that's something I should take care of this summer.
You should.
So next we get to handing out sabotages, and Sylvia, despite like causing shit the night before, does not give it to Kellyanne, but gives it to Janae. And what do we think of this decision here? Diego, what do you think of Janae picking up the sabotage?
Oh my God. I immediately was like, this is not gonna end well, is it? I immediately saw Johnny's face and I was like, Sylvia, if I was like, oh my God, you're just making enemies for no reason. Like, what are you doing? Like, John A wasn't even looking at Sylvia. I don't think she was ever going to target her. So I was like, I don't understand what she's doing. Like, if you're picking on Kellyanne all the time, just keep picking on her. Why make enemies somewhere else? Yeah.
Javier.
So, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I do think Sylvia I don't know if she made the right decision, but I do understand why she chose Janae. Like, I would be more afraid of Janae in this challenge than Kellyanne. But also, yeah, if you're gonna be literally the night before, say I'm throwing my sabotage on Kellyanne, just finish up the task because you never know you never really know how well Kellyanne or someone's gonna do at a challenge, and they can surprise you. Which surprise, they did surprise you this episode. So if you're gonna go so gung ho about somebody, just finish up the fight and just like put everything on Kellyanne, kind of like Brad and MJ. Like Brad was doing the right thing. Like he kept putting everything on MJ, and that's honestly what Sylvia should have done. Even though I do understand why, part of me does understand what she gave to Janae, because Janae does seem like the the one who would probably be better at this challenge.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you have an enemy, just go for your enemy and just go for Kellyanne.
Yeah, I think you summed it up, like, my opinions on it perfectly, because, I mean, Kellyanne had a fucking meltdown the last time she had to do a puzzle, so, like Sylvia said, like, why am I gonna put this on her when, like, the puzzle is enough of a sabotage for her, except, obviously, this time it wasn't. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you in that I understand putting it on Janae, but also one of the biggest things in like the challenge is once you have an enemy, don't make more enemies. Just keep your enemies contained. And I don't know, wasn't a great move, Sylvia, but hindsight's also 2020.
Yeah.
Then we have Mark.
Last thing I want to say is, in Sylvia's defense, Janae still made it to the final 3 with the sabotage.
Yeah.
So clearly, Janae was a big competitor in this challenge. So again, like, just to give another point to Sylvia, like, it was not honestly the worst decision, because Janae, even with the sabotage, still made it to the end. So
yeah, sometimes I felt this season the sabotages, it's like, is this even that much of a sabotage? I don't know. We've seen a couple of people persevere through having the sabotage and still winning. So, I mean, good on them, but also, I guess, like, if you're going to actually give a sabotage, I kind of want it to be more effective than still allowing some of the people either to win their heat or win the overall challenge or whatever. But it's fine. I don't make MTV shows. I just watch them and talk about them. Mark takes a different approach to his sabotage, though. He's like, who does anybody want it? And he volunteers, and MJ's just like, yep, please put it on me. Which, that's why I believe that his knee is fucked up, because he has a point. Like, running in sand with 2 good knees is already hard enough. Like, I know, like, he had the brace on and everything, but I guess, like, MJ was just kind of like hedging his bets and hoping, okay, I'm more likely to do well in an elimination than I am here. I don't know. Javier, what do you think of just volunteering to take on the sabotage?
Honestly, I was annoyed. Just because MJ, I feel like every episode he's complaining, oh my God, I'm going to get another sabotage. Oh my God, Brad's going to give me another sabotage. And then you ask for the sabotage. It's just like, be consistent. Like, just don't say anything. I'm sure he would have gotten it anyways, but like just, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to complain every episode about getting sabotaged and then ask for a sabotage, it just like makes all your other like confessionals just look like, I just didn't like it. Like, it just didn't make sense to me in the whole scheme of the game that MJ has been playing the whole season, So I was annoyed that he volunteered for it.
Diego, are you ever going to volunteer for a sabotage?
No, I literally, when he asked who wants it, I was like, oh my God, obviously nobody wants it. And then MJ just like immediately goes, me. I was like, dude, are you serious? What are you doing? But I get the point of his knee, like, I guess I do get it, where it's like, might as well just take it. But I don't know, just willingly asking for it is like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I also wish that he didn't, because Mark very rarely has to show his cards. And this could have been an instance for Mark to have I mean, obviously it's either going to Jordan or MJ, but let's see. You know what I mean? Like,
who knows?
Let's make him show at least something. Mark, above anyone, gets away with like some shit. I mean, with his authority, Wes volunteered to go in. He didn't have to make anybody mad. Like, I want Mark to have to get his hands a little dirty here, and instead he gets away with it all the time. So that's my big reason on why it's like, I don't care as much that MJ took it in terms of like preserving your everything to try and win the elimination you're most likely getting put into. I understand that in a way, but more so, like, this is why John A is a better like strategic player of the two of you, MJ, because you do dumb shit like this. Make him pick. That's all.
Yeah, agree. Give us mess. Give us some mess. Let Mark be a little messy here. Like, come on.
We get into the men's heat, and the guys are like scraping away. Derek is first, but we get Derek, Brad, Nehemiah, Wes, and Jordan moving on. So MJ and Mark are the first 2 out. MJ didn't even have to run. He basically just showed up today. Then we have the men out paddleboarding, and we get, in my opinion, a funny comment from Derek when he's like, Brad and his bionic beard are passing me up to get the puzzle pieces. And Jordan found himself like very much in the middle of that pack of 5. He knew that like, okay, I can beat out Wes and Nehemiah. I don't know if I'm going to catch Derek and Brad, but I feel good about doing a puzzle. So like, as long as I can get there, I'll be good. Wes and Nehemiah sucked at the paddleboard. They were the last 2 eliminated before the puzzle. But by Wes and Nehemiah sucking at the paddleboard, we got my favorite moment of this episode.
Yes.
The edit of Nehemiah and Wes and just like their bromance and just like, I love him so much. Like we're out here together. Oh my, I was cracking up. Like the best thing that these All-Stars producers can do is like make Wes less of a villain, you know, like get Wes to be liked more, because I think Wes would continue to come on these shows and Wes is entertaining, you know? So like if you can make people want him around because you like watching him, it's just going to be better for your show. And so shit like this, where it's like showing just how deep their love for each other is as they're trying to paddleboard in, I absolutely loved it. Do either of you want to comment on this? Because please do. I could talk about this for another hour.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I love that they're making Wes a little more lovable, because I love Wes too, and I want him on every season. And I know Wes would say yes to every season, probably if he gets asked, because he's gonna do good. So this is a business for him, you know. This is his job. So if he gets asked to come, he's gonna come, and I want him to keep getting asked. So I love that. I love this segment. I thought it was really funny. And it's gonna make people like Wes a little more, and I love that, you know, more Wes fans around.
I agree. I really love the scene. I thought it was amazing. But I actually want to go back to the bionic beard comment, because I wrote that down too, which I thought was hilarious. But also, like every time I see Brad, I also wonder, like, is there a reason why he has grown out his beard this much? Like, what's going on here? Like, why has he not shaved his beard? I don't know. If there's a reason, great, but I don't know the reason. So if someone could enlighten me as to why Brad would not shave off this giant, insane beard, I don't know what's going on there. So
I'll ask him on June 26th for you.
Yes, you need to ask him. Please ask him.
If I can't get him to agree to the podcast and ask him on the podcast, then I will ask him on June 26th. So
awesome. I love that.
The answer to this is to be determined.
Thank you. We'll be waiting.
Absolutely. Anything for the people, you know? I got to bring the people what they want.
Yes.
So we get Brad and Derek and Jordan at the puzzle. And out of those 3, I mean, obviously we know that Brad wins, but like, who did you think would win when you're like, okay, here's our final 3. This is who's winning this. Diego, who do you think was going to win?
I really thought Brad was going to win. I was like, he's going to win. I was like, he got there and he was just, it looked like he got it from the beginning. So I had no doubt that he was going to win. And then I also, something about the paddleboarding in the challenge. So just because I've gone paddleboarding, like the length of the paddle really matters. And they all got the paddles of the same length. So for example, I noticed that like Wes was like not doing good, and I know he's a really tall person. So I was like, I don't know if that, you know, had any impact on the challenge.
This is inside info we need. I would have never known that.
Yeah, it does matter, because you know, if you're taller, you need like a longer paddle, because it's just like it really matters. And but yeah, I knew Brad was going to win. I had no doubt. He's a beast.
Javier, did you think that Brad had this locked in once it was the 3 of them left?
Honestly, I thought Brad and Jordan would be neck and neck. I knew Derek wasn't going to win this. Like, I had no hope for Derek. So I really thought Brad and Jordan were going to be, one of those 2 were going to win. I didn't know anything about the paddleboard or anything like that. So, which now adds, I guess when we get to the women's heat, something I want to mention then, but we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, I thought it would be neck and neck, honestly.
Yeah, my big gripe with Derek is like he's surprised that there's puzzles every fucking season, despite the fact that he's been doing this for 20 years. Like, bro, just download an app. There are so many puzzle
Literally.
items. Like, please. It is so
Exactly.
infuriating because like he has a physical component to take on anyone.
Mhm.
However, as soon as he has to use his brain, he just can't
Mm.
do it. And it's so frustrating to me. I want him to do better because I'm not necessarily a Derek fan, but I do think that Mark Long is the reason this season happened or this series happened, but I don't think it happens without Derek because Derek is part of the Challenge Mania podcast and like he's regularly connecting with people to come on there. So I think like the Mark and Derek connection and Derek bringing people on, like I don't know if they get as many people without Derek being included. So I do think that like Derek deserves praise for just this whole series happening. However, like I would love to also see you succeed in it a little bit. And that just means
Mhm.
like opening a book sometimes, or maybe doing a jigsaw puzzle, or, you know, something like, you know, how the Sims can increase their like skills by like playing chess or whatever. Like, I need you to play chess once or twice, Derek. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Up that skill level at least one, maybe
Mhm.
two. That'd be phenomenal for your game. Instead, he just freaks out. Is like, I fucking hate puzzles. Like, we
Yeah.
know, Derek. We know. We hate watching you do puzzles because it's brutal. You're
Yeah.
not good.
Use that energy to be good at puzzles. Like,
Yeah.
but whatever.
So I actually thought that Jordan would win this because I still don't see Brad as like the you know, the big IQ guy, but hey, he got the puzzle done, and my opinion of Brad continues to improve. So good on Brad for getting this. And obviously, once Brad wins, MJ isn't happy. Next, we have our women's heat. And Naya is the first to the paddle boards. Kellyanne is second, Kayla third, Janae fourth, and Ronnie fifth, leaving Veronica and Sylvia eliminated. So not only is Sylvia throwing sabotages, like she has no chance of keeping herself out of trouble. So that as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, Sylvia's in for it this episode. Like this is gonna be bad. I know it. What did you think of the paddleboarding? Javier, you said you have an opinion now, and I think I might know
Mhm.
what that opinion might be, but go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, Nia. No wonder Nia. Maybe that's why Nia was struggling so much. Now it makes sense why Nia was having such a hard time because she's freaking tall compared to all these women,
Mm-hmm.
and she has the
Yep,
same size paddle. So wow, now that like really changes my like opinion on like, okay, maybe Nia didn't flop. She just literally was at a big disadvantage compared to the other women.
exactly.
Is stand-up paddleboarding difficult to do, as difficult as Naya and Kayla made it seem?
No, it's really not that difficult. Like, I mean, everybody here can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have friends who, are not very agile at things and they're not very good at sports. But when we go to the lake, they can get on it and get at it really easily. So it's really not that hard. I really think it was because of the paddles. I mean, that really matters.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, I worked at a summer camp for a long time, and we had stand-up paddle boards, and kids would use them all the time. And our like camp crew wasn't the most athletic set of kids. We were not a sports camp. We were
Mhm.
like the island of
Mhm.
misfit toys, if you will. Like, um, so when I'm seeing like Naya and Kayla continuing to like fall over, I've seen people who are not athletic do this. So I was very confused by what was happening, and now that makes sense. So you think that like Naya probably had to like bend more, therefore like
Yeah.
causing her balance to be off versus like just kind of getting to stand in a regular almost like athletic position and
Yeah,
paddle.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think if she had like a longer paddle, she would be able to just stand up more comfortably because the paddle would, be longer, be able to just balance more.
Mhm.
And it didn't look like it. Yeah. I was like, that's not fair, but
It did look that when she like went to her knees, it was actually easier for her. Like she seemed to be doing better when she did that, which again makes sense. The only thing that I will like counter it with is as a short person, as someone who is 4'10", we are regularly at the disadvantage because shit's not made for short people. Like
true, true.
Veronica in the math problem where she's on her fucking tippy
Tippy
toes trying to swing
toes.
those cubes around.
Yeah.
Like she could have easily fallen, but I think the challenge does an actual very bad job of adjusting things for people's height to add equity to challenges. And I think that's a reason that we see a lot more injuries in things like the challenge versus like Survivor, which has some like relatively difficult challenges, but like Survivor caters to your height. and they care about that, where the challenge is like, yo, sorry that your jeans didn't make you like 5'10" or taller. You're just gonna have to do this one yourself, like figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I never would have thought of that. It just made Nia look like a clown out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but it makes sense because in the challenge everybody's kind of playing in an equal field. Like they really don't change anything for anybody, because then they would have to do that in the eliminations too,
Yeah.
cater to people, and it's like it's all fair. Like everybody just gets the same.
Yeah. And the opposite end of the spectrum from Nia is Kellyanne. We get a confessional of her being like, I own 5 of these and I do paddleboard yoga pretty often. Like, all right, cool. You know what? I'm glad for her though, because especially in this type of challenge, when she knows the end is a puzzle, that it's like, at least she has something that she knows she can excel at. And if anything, it probably like calmed her a bit into going into the puzzle, because it's like, I have something that I'm good at. I just crushed them in it. I have a bit of a time advantage because I'm here first. And then let's just not have a complete and utter meltdown like we did a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was happy for her. Good on her for having hobbies that benefit her in this game.
Yep, agreed.
So our 3 that get to the puzzle are Kellyanne, then Ronnie, then Janae. So Kayla and Nia are eliminated. We do not get any sort of like sunset montage with the 2 of them, unfortunately. You just hear Nia, I think, being like, so do we just like paddleboard into shore?
Yeah.
Like, well, what else are you gonna do? Like, where are you gonna go? And then we get to something that Javier brought up earlier. Kellyanne is getting help from Wes during this puzzle, and we get a little bit of like Wes saying, not everybody gets to play these games with their ex from 10 years ago. And like I'm happy if she's doing well. And even Kellyanne was kind of surprised that Wes was helping her. Javier, give us more on your insight of this. Like, you don't think it's fair?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair because and the biggest issue here was I really like Ronnie and no one was helping Ronnie. So let's go back a little bit, because V at the beginning was like, okay, Ronnie, you have to like carry your weight. You have to win this. Like V was talking a lot of smack about Ronnie. And then when Ronnie's at the end about to win, no one tells her piece. She's literally forgetting one of the green pieces, and they keep panning to it, and no one is helping out Ronnie. But Wes is telling Kellyanne, grab this, grab that, do that in the third. So it just really irked me because I like Ronnie and I want more Ronnie. So when no one was helping Ronnie, especially after I think even Kayla had a confessional saying, come on, Ronnie, you got to pick up the slack. Like you got to really help us. We can't keep protecting you. You have to try to protect us. So I just wish, if you're going to help, everyone should get some kind of help. So I really wish that in that case, Ronnie would have gotten some help as well. That might just be me biased because I really like Ronnie and I want to see her do well. But yeah, no one was telling Ronnie, hey, you got a missing piece, and she could have won. So that really annoyed me.
Diego, what do you think of this component of, the peanut gallery helping the competitors? Where are you at on that?
I don't really mind it because I do think that, your social game, if you want to call it, does matter. Like if people like you, then people might want to help you. If you have really good relationships with people, then I would expect those people to be helping me. I didn't mind. I didn't mind that Kellyanne was getting help. I'm not annoyed that she won. I'm more annoyed that Ronnie lost, especially because of that one piece. Like it is just annoying because I was just like, please. I was like, she's gonna see it, right? Please. And then it was just disappointing. But I don't mind the help. I think social game matters. So
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall on it too, where it's like, I get Javier's point because you do want it to be the competitor versus a competitor, but I mean, the challenge is kind of a place where like there's no rules until they have to make a rule to stop you from doing what you're doing in a way. Like, do you remember the challenge where I think it was bananas that they had to like run into this foam room and they had to like figure out the pattern and they had to like rearrange it on their their podium after they came out of the foam room. But bananas realized that he could see the reflection of the lights up in the corner. And he just like stood there and was able to do it. And it's one of those things of like, oh shit, you just cheated, but you cheated in a way that like, I feel like it's kind of the same shit where like shit goes on the challenge until they have to stop you from doing that. And until they firmly are like, no, shut up. Like, you can show up, you can cheer, but you can't give directions. Like, I especially love when people come like dressed as someone or like in the colors for someone or like black, like a funeral and everything. Like, I love that type of stuff. Let's get petty. But I'm with you, Diego, that I do think that until they're like, no, you can't help, then it is part of your social game. There's a reason that no one's helping Beth, because Beth came and it was rude to people that people like. You know what I mean? Like, so I get your point, Javier. If it was me and like everybody's telling someone else how to do it, I'm in the same boat as you, but I get like the social component of it. I do think it's important. So I like that we have opposite sides of it here. Okay, so we're in the middle of the puzzle, right? And apparently the wind decides it's time to wake up. I felt so bad for Kellyanne, where she is like a piece away from winning this thing, and the wind is just like, not today, bitch, and just boom, knocks it over. I thought she was screwed at that point. Absolutely screwed.
Yep.
So the fact that like Kellyanne came back and wins this, that to me just showed me like how bad given Ronnie was like kind of missing a piece, but also like realize you're missing a piece, I guess, you know, like it's not like it was hidden in the sand, it was on the podium in front of you. And then like John A just must not be like figuring this puzzle out at all. So that was wild to me that Kellyanne not only was very close to winning a puzzle once, but she then came back and won it completely the second time. So all Kellyanne stuff aside, we have to praise her right here. Javier, say some nice things about Kellyanne.
Kellyanne ate that challenge up. Yes. She did a great job. And like I said earlier in the podcast, like I've never rooted for Kellyanne before, but this season I have been waiting to see a Kellyanne win just to like flip the house a little bit. So I was more than happy to see her succeed, even if it was at the expense of Ronnie.
Diego, I know that Kellyanne winning sent your favorite home, but give us some positive Kellyanne vibes right now.
Yeah, I think she killed it. I think this whole challenge, when that last part, it was a whole roller coaster. I was like, oh, she's going to win. Like, totally got it. And then the wind knocks it over, and I'm like, oh, obviously no. Obviously, Ronnie is going to see the missing piece. And then she comes back, and I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. This is great TV, which I love. You know, even if it's going to send my favorite home, it was great TV, and I loved it. And I think she killed it. And I think people were not expecting her to win. And I was happy for her. You know, she succeeded finally. She has some power in the game finally. She can shake things up and, you know, change the dynamics in the game a little bit.
I'm happy for her. Let's go, Kellyanne. Good job. The fact that she like conquered the puzzle after the whole puzzle dilemma a couple weeks ago, or however long it is in challenge time, I'm happy for Kellyanne. We find out that Brad and Kellyanne
Freudian slip right there.
Yeah, dude, I am the worst. I combine when my brain's like moving too fast from my mouth, like I combine words notoriously. So it won't be the first or last time that this happened, or it was the first, but it's definitely not the last time this is going to happen on this podcast. I can guarantee you that. So we have Brad and Kellyanne earning the last sabotages. So I think that's interesting that next time is the last time. I also think it's interesting, and not to get like too far into the future here, but Brad's main target for his sabotages are gone. So Brad's going to have to go for someone else. And then I guess Kellyanne's main target for sabotages is also going to be gone. So it'll be interesting who she takes a shot at, because I think we know where Brad will go. I think Brad will go at Jordan. That makes sense to me. But who will Kellyanne go after? Kayla, Veronica, Ronnie. Yeah, but like which one? So that's where I'm kind of intrigued for next week's last sabotage, because Kellyanne's going to make an enemy next week. She doesn't have her built-in enemy anymore. So I am interested in how that goes down next week. Diego, where do you think she'll put it?
I really think she's going to come for Kayla. I really think she's just going to come for her because she knows that they've been targeting her this whole time. And I think there's a personal, issue there. I think even to the point where Sylvia, sorry, not to get ahead, but even when Sylvia lives, she's like, it's personal with you, like
Mhm.
F you, like I don't care. And I think Kayla might have those same feelings towards Kellyanne, so I think Kellyanne is just gonna be easy for her to throw the sabotage on Kayla and make no enemies, be like, sorry, it's you.
Mhm. Javier,
Yeah,
do
I
you
mean,
agree with Kayla, or do you think she'll go a different way?
I think I fully agree with Diego. She's probably gonna put it on Kayla. I feel like it makes sense. Like, I got your best friend out, so you're probably gonna come target me
Yeah.
next. So let me get
Mhm.
you out, or like try to make it harder for you to win. So it only makes sense, in my opinion, for her to go for Kayla. And she's not like a little bit of shade to Kendall, but she's not like Kendall, like who Kendall just put it on. Like, who was it on? I don't remember. I think she put it on MJ, but I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Kellyanne actually has a sense of the game, so it
Yeah.
makes sense for her to target Kellyanne moving forward. I mean, sorry, for her to target Kayla moving forward. So I think that's what she'll put it on.
That makes sense to me too. I do have one. I had a random thought here during the episode that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about. Do you think that Jordan is potentially throwing challenges? Because to me, Jordan is a beast. Like, Jordan wins shit. Jordan also knows that he is a threat in this game. It has been since day one. People know, like, Jordan is the most likely to beat me in a final. And part of me thinks, like, no, Jordan doesn't give a fuck if he's the biggest target. He's going to win out if he can. And then part of me thinks, like, oh, is he doing this on purpose because he knows it's decreasing the target? Like, right now, a TJ, every single second he gets, is telling Brad how great he's doing. Like, Brad is doing better than Jordan right now at competitions. Brad is currently the biggest threat to win this game. Is Jordan doing this on purpose? And we're just not, are we just letting that go? Or am I giving Jordan too much credit? I
No,
saw
I
both
don't
of your
think so.
faces be like,
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that until now. And I don't think you're giving Jordan too much credit. I think he's very strategic. So it totally makes sense for him to be doing this. And I think people know that he's really alone in the game. He really has nobody really going at battle with him. So it makes sense that if other people like Brad look like a way challenge beast, people are gonna want to probably turn on themselves and come for Brad before they even care about coming for Jordan.
Mhm.
Mm, I don't think Jordan is throwing things. I'm just thinking, if I were in Jordan's shoes and I had no alliances in this game and I knew that everyone wanted me out, I would try to win every challenge. Like, it does. And I don't think Jordan is thinking far ahead enough to be like, okay, let me paint Brad as the bigger target, because even at the end of the day, everyone left in the house is aligned with Brad. They're not going to target Brad before Jordan. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think any of the guys will target Brad before Jordan, no matter if Brad keeps winning, because he's in an alliance. Now, if Jordan were to come into this game and he was like a power duo with another guy who's super strong, then I
Mhm.
could see him being able to like throw challenges to the other guys so that
Mhm.
his duo would get targeted. Like, let's say he was a duo with, like, I don't know, like a CT. Like, okay, I'm gonna throw challenges, let CT win, so everyone focuses on CT and no one looks at me. So I don't
Mhm.
think Jordan is deliberately throwing challenges. I just think he's just not winning them, and Brad is just really being a comp beast this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's some challenges he had no chance of winning, like the ring toss one or whatever, due to the way the alliances came out. Do you hear that?
Amber Alert.
Oh shit! I'm like, God, are you trying to?
Not
Oh,
God.
a tornado warning in this area until 7:15 p.m. All right, well, if I literally blow away, you know what happened. So my last words are going to be on a challenge podcast. Katie, make sure this gets uploaded, please. If you're out there, like, make sure this gets uploaded. Thanks. Um, shit. I was like, what the fuck is that? The smoke detector's never gone off in my house, so I was like, is there a fire? I have no idea. It's my phone. Oh my god. Okay, well, anyway, tornado coming through, and it's not a challenge character, it's the actual natural disaster, but here we go. So, okay, here's another reason why I think Jordan could potentially be throwing things. Because he did come in the top 3, I think once. That's it. When the authority was 3 people. If you go back and reflect upon who's been put into the challenge or into the arena, it's people who've made other people mad. It's not so much been threats. It's been like who's pissed off who. Kendall gets put in because she gave the sabotage to MJ. Who else? Like other people are put in because they're seen as layups against the, like there's just different reasoning where like no one has really taken a shot at someone strong in the authority, and I think it's for fear of that person coming back. Like Jordan got put in against Darrell, but that was like again strategic. I don't know. I just think that like Jordan might be purposely avoiding power because then it puts a target on him that's very bigger than the one he has. And he might just not be winning things. Like there's no like right or wrong answer, I don't think. It's just something that at the end of this, I'm like, damn, like Jordan's just like not winning. What's going on? Like Jordan wins shit. So is it on purpose? But I think I don't know. I would love to know. I wonder, I have some plans to reach out to some players on this season, and so we'll see.
You should.
But
You have to.
I'm going to.
Yes,
I'm going to. I'm going to for sure. All right. After the challenge, we get Kellyanne, Naya, and Janae talking, and no one hesitates in throwing Sylvia under the bus because after Kellyanne wins, Sylvia goes, she said something along the lines of like, kill me if I ever celebrate a win like that. I can't remember was that what she said?
She said, shoot me in the face if I ever celebrate.
I was gonna say
way.
like punch me in the face. Okay, shoot me in the face if I ever act like that after a win. And Naya was like, hey, you know what Sylvia said? Like, you know who's an easy target for you? Kellyanne, who will undisputedly act purely on emotions and not on logic. You know what? Did she said Kellyanne? Which I was like, go off, Naya. Protect yourself here, even though it kind of fucked her over a little bit. But and they talk about taking big swings at the treehouse. Obviously, we see that happen. And I mean, in this conversation, what are you thinking with these 3 women? Are they actually aligning at this point? Or is it of convenience?
Honestly, I was shocked that this is the first time this season we have seen like a group of women other than the treehouse, like even like discuss possibly targeting anyone. Just given like knowing like someone like Janae who usually plays a very good social game, like the fact that she hasn't really felt in danger from the treehouse, but just to see like that the girls had never prior to this ever sat down and talked like, hey, like it's kind of sus that like these women have been winning every week and it's someone always like who's not in their alliance going in. So I was kind of shocked that this was the first time that we ever had these women like get together and be like, this is a little sus. Maybe we should target the treehouse, So I don't think they'll explicitly align, but I do think it's good to get this conversation started and hopefully moving forward, they'll see that the treehouse is probably the biggest like deterrent for any of them 3 winning.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Diego, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to specifically align, but they should. Like they probably should have a long time ago, and I feel like they've known that the treehouse is there. Like they've openly talked about, the treehouse. Like they've openly acknowledged that there's an alliance there and that they're coming after all of them. And they still haven't aligned. And I think they should, because if like Kayla is still very good at challenges, like I can still see her beasting all the way to the final and, just getting all of them out.
Yeah, I also think part of the reason we haven't seen like an alliance of them is they've never had power. This is the first time that one of them really has the opportunity to do something. And so it's nice to see that they're utilizing it. But once I said it out loud, I realized like, oh yeah, well, it's really been the treehouse women winning shit most of the time. So like whether or not they aligned, it didn't really matter because they were on the opposite side of the power in each round. Then we get a little bit of at-home Sylvia and laying down the hammer, her stepson's grades. So I did appreciate the way the stepson took that, because I think it's very easy in those situations to be like, you're not my mom, shut up. You're like, I mean, seriously, I was a teacher for 11 years. I've seen shit like this. Like, this isn't me like trying to be dramatic. This is like more often than not what I saw when involved like stepmoms and stuff. But at this point, when we're seeing the Sylvia at home call, are we thinking like, okay, Sylvia's gonna win in a beast of a challenge? Or so, oh my god, we have two different, like, you can't see it if you're gonna listen to this, but we have Diego shaking his head. Yes, he's like, Sylvia's coming out on top. This is my champ. She's my winner pick right here. And Javier's like, pack up, bitch, you're going home.
You out.
That's so funny that at this point, like, the two of you had different opinions. I don't know if I was like watching it for, I don't like watch it for that until I'm talking about it after. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have been thinking this way. I think because I'm like so set on taking notes that I'm not like analyzing anything. It's more just like write it down, then I'll think of it on the fly. But all right, so we have differing opinions here. Sylvia's going home or Sylvia's gonna win. We know Sylvia loses, but before we get the authorities' choice, we have a birthday party, because apparently like 4 or 5 of them had birthdays around the same time, which is crazy. When was this? Nehemiah, the challenge, birthday. Because Nehemiah said this is the first time that his birthday is like close to being in a challenge house. His birthday is November 21st, so they must have been filming this in like the beginning of November or so. So we have a lot of November birthdays apparently on the challenge, but the birthday happiness didn't last too long, so it went straight into like political, social, all that shit, you know, like it does. But the highlight of it is the Sylvia Kellyanne conversation. So I'm laughing because I remember laughing during this, and I had to stop and rewind a few times to make sure that I got everything that I needed to. When Sylvia's like, I know I did these things to you, but here's all the things I could have done that I didn't. You know, you're right, Sylvia. You didn't like punch her dog in the face. You didn't like, he didn't insult her mother. Like, good job, Sylvia. You didn't do these things. But within the game, you've done a lot to Kellyanne. Like, you've more or less made this woman miserable within the game. Diego, as our Sylvia defender here, at the beginning of this conversation, how are you feeling about Sylvia's chances of not being put into the elimination?
I was like, honestly, I didn't think she had any chance of not getting put into the elimination. I was like, she's gonna get put in. And then when I was like, oh, okay, we're getting this conversation, I was like, okay, you know, I have faith in you, you know, throw somebody under the bus, you know, just say something. And then I was like, what are you doing, Sylvia? And then she wasn't even offering her anything. She was just like, I was like, Sylvia, say something. Like, come on, do something. Yeah, it was so uncomfortable to watch. I was like, my girl, I'm so sorry.
As we get into it, we get Kellyanne saying, like, I'm sick of being nice to people that aren't my friends. And Sylvia's being like, well, I've gotten better towards you. And Kellyanne's like, yeah, until today, until you said punch me in the face or shoot me in the face if I ever act like that. And Kellyanne's like, well, what if we work together? Javier, what did you think of the gameplay here when Kellyanne's like, okay, what if we work together? And Sylvia just kind of offering her nothing.
Yeah, no, I think it was absurd because, I mean, if I were ever on a reality TV show, I'm ready if I know that like I am on the fence of going home, I'm ready to make any single freaking alliance at that moment. I would have been like, yes, Kellyanne, I'm going with you to the final. Like, I got you. I got your back. We're going to the final. And just lie. Who cares? Like, this is your last chance. You know this. You know Kellyanne's going to throw you in because you've been targeting her all season. So just lie. Like, I didn't understand that, especially because up to this point, like I said earlier, like I felt like Sylvia was playing a good game. So to see her finally, like her back against the wall, and to see her just flop so badly, I was like, I really thought Sylvia would have like played this differently, personally, because I honestly thought Sylvia was playing a great game. So I just didn't understand how this conversation went so poorly on Sylvia's end. Like, it should have been Sylvia pitching the alliance, not Kellyanne. Like, your back is against the wall.
Yeah.
So I was just very disappointed in Sylvia, just because for the first half of the season, I was like, oh, Sylvia's gonna make it to the end. She's like pretty much running the treehouse. Like, come on, mastermind edit. To then see her when her back is against the wall, she doesn't know what to do. I was very disappointed in that.
I think that's such a good point. Like the way you just framed that. Absolutely. Sylvia could have done better. Hopefully she learns from this. Maybe we'll get
She will.
Yeah, I think she will too. All right. So as we leave this, we get a confessional from Sylvia being like, Kellyanne can eat a pile of shit with an extra piece of glue in. I just had to put that in there. Like, that line can't be said out loud and me not repeated on this podcast.
Yep.
We don't have to comment on it. It's just, this exists. Sylvia
Yep.
clearly in a great spot with Kellyanne leaving this.
Yeah.
It was the gluten part for me. I was like,
Yeah.
Fuck you, celiac. Eat some bread.
oh man, that really good for Sylvia. That was a moment.
So we get the authority next, and Brad says to Kellyanne, like, I want to be in control of the men's vote. You can be in control of the women's vote. How does that sound? Kellyanne's like, she didn't like 100% agree to it, which, like, why? Who is Kellyanne trying to protect of the men? Exactly. Your silence tells me no one. So, like, why the fuck are you even pretending to oppose this? Just let him do what he wants. Like, I don't know. That was weird to me.
Yeah.
So we get Brad's rundown. I'm working with a lot of the men. I already took a shot at Jordan, but I already feel like I've made a fire with MJ. Let's keep it going, which is something we've been saying throughout this podcast. Like, you already have an enemy. Let's keep the enemy. We do not need to change it up. And then Kellyanne basically says, I'm going after Kayla or Sylvia. It's one of those two. Brad says, you respect my vote. I'll respect yours. And from there, we get the choices of MJ and Sylvia. Any surprises here?
No.
No.
Not
I think,
at all.
like, we've not only painted the picture that this is happening, but, like, we've seen this coming for a while throughout the episode.
I will say, before we move on, I really hope this is not the way that the authorities are going to vote. Like, the guy votes who he wants in, the girl votes who he wants in, like, who she wants in. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's not interesting gameplay. Like, if the authority is always going to vote that way, then it almost, I don't know. I feel like for the sake of drama, I don't like this. Like, whoever Brad wants, he's going to get. Whoever Kellyanne wants, she wants to get. Like, I hope that whoever the authority is, we can get like opposing sides. But even though I don't think that's going to happen, because it's interestingly this season, I don't feel like there's a woman and a men's alliance.
Right.
I feel like they're both separate, which is very unique to me for the challenge. Because like watching the regular seasons, there's always a mix of like women and men in an alliance. But this conversation really brought it to my brain that like, wow, this season it's literally just the men's side and just the women's side. It doesn't feel like there's like even any intertwining. So it just made me really sad to see like that's how this game is probably going to play out for the rest. Because I feel like it kills a little bit of strategy and mess that like the non-all-star season has when there's like a mixture of like who we're going to vote in, who we're going to do this, that, and the third. So
yeah, we really only have Derek in the treehouse. Otherwise, and we lost MJ and John A. But otherwise, we don't really have like much crossover in it. There isn't really like much benefit to it right now, unless TJ were to let them know like, hey, you're going to be paired up with someone in the final. So you want to make sure that like you have a woman that you want to work with and the women have a man that they want to work with. Otherwise, like, I guess it's like less enemies, you know, like, why am I going to make this person mad? Where in this case, like Brad owns this. Kelly, if MJ comes back, MJ can Kellyanne can very much say like, yo, there's nothing I could have said that would have changed this. So like, don't be mad at me. And Brad can keep his hands clean with whoever Kellyanne throws in. But I get your point. Like, it is better when there's a dependence on like the men depending on the women depending on the men for votes and shit. I absolutely agree with that. So MJ says that Brad's a dumbass because he is now given him 5 men to choose from and he can pick whoever he wants. So I don't think this makes Brad a dumbass.
yeah.
So do you think Brad is a dumbass? Javier, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. If you want to go first, you're more than welcome to.
No. I literally don't have much to say except that like that confession just doesn't make sense to me. Like Brad is going to vote you in. He doesn't like you. He's not going to make another enemy. If anything, it is smart for Brad to vote you in because he doesn't want to make another enemy. So I just thought that confession was like, what are you even saying, MJ? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
It seemed like he was trying to hype himself up in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because, like, why is Brad's like, I'm working with everyone except for Jordan and MJ.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Let me pick Jordan so he can just pick MJ. There we go. Like, no, that's not going to happen, obviously. So, whatever. And then we get Wes talking with, who is he talking with? He was talking, was it Janae that asked him or was it someone else that asked him? But we get Wes saying that Sylvia thinks, or he thinks Sylvia will pick Janae.
I don't remember.
I think it was Janae who said, like, who do you think she's going to pick? And he's like, I think she'll pick you.
Oh, yes. I think, yeah, you're right. It was Wes and John A talking.
Mm-hmm. And we cut to the treehouse where Sylvia's like, listen, whatever happens, happens. I'm pretty good in eliminations. Like, I have a good record. But just know that if something bad happens, y'all bitches better step on Kellyanne's throat.
More violence. I'm sorry. I just don't understand where this comes from. Every time Sylvia gets more angry at Kellyanne, I get more confused. I'm sorry, I do, but
what do you think of the hype, Diego? Come on, defend your girl
So,
here. You don't have much
you know,
time left to defend her. So.
I'm just gonna keep it real, like I love her, but she was given very much like insecurity vibes, very much like I don't know if I can beat her. And I was like, Miss Thing, like I love you and you're my girl, but like I want to defend her, but it's also like, what are you doing? Like, if focus on sending her out. If you can really beat her in the challenge, just focus on that. Those are my thoughts.
Perfect. So we move on to the arena in a game called Starstruck. And the best way I can describe this is there is a puzzle, and within the puzzle, there are 3 different size stars. So you have a small star, and then like a medium star, and a large star. And you have this like pole that has also a small, then medium, large star on it. And so as you move the pole through the maze, you have to move your pole in the order so that you can pull the small star out of the small hole first. Then you need to move to the medium one, get the medium one out, and then to the large one. So you've removed this pole. And then you have to run probably like 10-ish feet away, 10 to 15 at most, I would say. And you have to get down on your knees and use this like a giant pool cue. And you are going to shoot this gold spray painted soccer ball, mini soccer ball, into like a mouse hole underneath the maze you just finished. The first person to do this fucking carnival game, is going to be safe in the elimination. Did I explain that okay? Because I was worrying about this. I'm like, how am I going to make this like a visual representation?
Couldn't do it better myself.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, great. So one of the things I like about this twist of call down who you want in is you do get to see what the elimination is. Like, you're not going to call in the biggest person if it's a hall brawl, and you're not going to call in the smartest person if it's a puzzle. Like, you do have the option, which is nice. And we hear Sylvia say, like, I was going to go with this one person the whole time, but I think John A would kick my ass in this. So she basically calls Naya dumb and says, Naya, come on down.
Yeah.
Okay. Naya's completely blindsided by this. She's pissed. Jordan's like, don't send my girl home. I love her. So Sylvia calls down Naya, and then we have MJ who picks Derek because, as Derek proclaimed earlier this episode, I fucking hate puzzles. So I think I would have called down Derek too. What do we think about these choices? Diego, where do you agree with them? Would you have done something different if you were them? What would you do?
Yeah, I honestly think that for Sylvia, it obviously didn't really matter who she picked. I think honestly it would have been better for her to pick John A, but like I don't think it really mattered. It's a puzzle, so it really anybody can beat you in it. It's anybody's game, I think. So but when she started second guessing herself, I was like, okay, that's a warning sign. Like when she started being like, oh, I think I'm gonna change my mind, I was like, oh no, 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 what are you doing like that? You don't want to do that. And I knew it was gonna not end well at that moment when she was like, I'm gonna change my mind. I was like, oh, this is not gonna end well. And yeah, I was like, that's the wrong pick.
What do you think about the MJ Derek pick, Javier?
No, I think MJ did the right thing. Like Derek complains about how he doesn't know how to do puzzles. And yeah, that's probably who he has the best chance against winning. However, can I comment on the Sylvia picking?
Of course you can. This is a free podcast. We believe in our First Amendment rights, not the Second Amendment. We need to modify that a bit in this country, but the First Amendment, speak your fucking mind, Javier.
So again, I feel like this episode, I swear I'm not like a Sylvia hater, but this has really been the fault for Sylvia this episode. Because like I keep saying, Sylvia was giving me such a mastermind edit. And then this episode, like, I don't understand why she even said I was going to pick someone else. And then I chose Naya. Because let's say you do come back. Okay, now you just made an enemy out of Janae. Like, I don't understand why she was thinking out loud like that. Because again, I thought this girl was like killing this game. And then this episode, she did another thing that had me like, is this like, what is going on with this Sylvia this episode? Like, it just was so confusing to me. And I just feel like if I was in her position, I would not want to make, she basically made two enemies. Like if she came back, she was going to have Janae as an enemy anyways now. Cause she basically said, I wanted to pick you, but now I'm gonna pick this girl. So I just thought it was really weird of her to speak her mind so out loud like that for no reason. But
that's a great point. Something that I wish Janae did by sticking with, not Janae, I'm sorry. I wish Sylvia did and sticking with the Janae idea is kind of like what Darrell did with Jordan, where Darrell's like, there's no way I beat this motherfucker in a final. So let me try to take him out in an elimination. This is my best bet. It's kind of the same thing where like Janae is in every single daily challenge. She can win any single daily challenge any given time this entire season, right? Like, why not take a shot? Because the worst that happens is you lose. Instead, you are keeping the reigning champ and one of the strongest women in the house overall in to go against your friends. You could at least, if you come back, then the reigning champ is gone. If you don't come back, you've at least made her do an elimination, given this isn't a very physical elimination. But like, take your shot. Don't play a scared game. Scared money don't win money. And that's Sylvia's downfall right there. I think Sylvia blamed it on the sabotage, but I blame it on her choice here.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if she would have beat Janae, but she didn't beat Naya, so it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. I wish.
And if she did beat her, and if she beat her, she could be like, I sent her home. Like, I sent the winner home. You know, like she could take all the credit. She did it. And, you know, it's a huge threat that you just got rid of.
And she gets more stars than if she beats Naya. And she can go back to the house and be like, you know, Naya, I saved you. Like, I low key, like, I want to keep you around. Like, you can build that up a little bit. And Sylvia, so Diego, tweet her or something and just be like, girl,
what happened this episode?
Let's talk before All Stars 4. I need to talk to you before All Stars 4, okay? All right. I will say that watching these eliminations was boring to me, except for one thing and one thing only. Naya getting her shot through on the first one, especially seeing Derek having to do it for like 10 minutes, right? Like Naya just like, whoop, whoop, I do this at home on a Tuesday. Like I just play this giant pool game at home. That was sick. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Let's go, Naya. As it was rolling, I'm like, oh my God, is that going to, that's going in. Otherwise, this was a boring elimination to me.
Yeah.
I just want to add, like, I don't understand why no one hit it. Like, could you not hit it like it was golf? I feel like that would be easier. Like, hit it like we were playing golf instead of whatever I think
the edges would cause it. Because, like, all right, if we think of a star, it's likely to make contact with two of the edges. And if you don't make contact with it evenly, I feel like it's harder control. Where, like, at least with the flat component of it, it might be easier. I don't know. Like I unfortunately do not have a 3-pronged star to like practice this with at home. Yo, I think my house is gonna like blow away. Like there's shit going on outside.
Is
very
it really
loud.
Windy? You hear the
windy,
wind?
A lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. My dog is scared shitless right now. He just he was laying under the desk with me when the sirens first went off, but now he's hiding under the bed. That's his safe spot. Aww. So if I just like lose connection, that's because I'm literally in the middle of a tornado.
Oh my
So
God.
Please be safe.
Yeah,
I'm not
please.
going anywhere. Like I'm not going outside, but I'm just letting you know if I hopefully I'm back for next week's episode. So
You will be.
all right. So Naya wins the first heat. She finishes the puzzle first. She hits the ball through in one shot. Like Naya beasted this challenge. We get the men's heat. Derek smokes MJ in the puzzle, which is completely
Insane.
unexpected. When that happened, I was like, did he take Adderall before this or something? Like what? How did Derek do this? And then it took Derek a while to hit the ball through the hole, but he did it before MJ even finished his puzzle. MJ struggled with that puzzle. I don't think it mattered at that point who MJ played. I don't know if there was anyone that he would have beat because he struggled with that. And when we get Derek winning, his reaction to me is hilarious. Like, it's definitely showboaty, but I was laughing where he's like, take that, you fucking puzzle. And then he's like, I got me lucky stars. Like, he's the
Yes.
fucking leprechaun from.
Yeah.
That was funny.
And before he like goes back up the stairs or whatever, he like rips one of the stars off of MJ's shirt and runs away. That's where I think he crossed a little bit of a line, but you know what? Go for it. Like, you're on TV. MJ's going. He can't hold this against you until next season. So like, live your life, Derek. Live your life. Anything you want to say about the elimination?
Like you said, it was really boring. I think my favorite elimination was probably last one, but I think overall the eliminations have been kind of boring. They've been kind of a little basic. Yeah, I mean, it was really impressive. It was one shot wonder. It was amazing. Sad to see Sylvia go, of course, but I'm sure she's gonna be back. And yeah, love her on my TV.
Yeah.
I do think these challenges, in a way, though, do serve a purpose because it's like Wes was saying, like, that's what scares me about this. Anybody can win this challenge. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, the Carnival Games ones are just, any given person on any given day can win that. So it does add a bit of variation that we might not get if it's all like headbangers or all puzzles or whatever. So while it was boring, I do understand the purpose of it to mix things up a little bit, but it doesn't make it any less boring, unfortunately.
Sure.
So on the way out, we get Sylvia saying that the sabotage cost her the game, which I think we have established we don't agree with that. We think your maneuvers this whole episode really did nothing good for you. You were in trouble as soon as Kellyanne won the challenge, Sylvia, but we don't think you did anything to help yourself. And hopefully next time we don't have this catastrophic downfall, because I think all of us are rooting for Sylvia. I think we can say that. I know Diego more than us, but like I'm not rooting for Sylvia. That's for sure. I would love to see her win. And then on the way out, we get MJ being like, Brad, it's not personal. Don't worry about it. And Sylvia goes, Kellyanne, it is personal. Memes. That was the first part of the whole episode that annoyed me from Sylvia. Like, she had some mean girl shit, but then I'm like, stop. What did you expect to happen in this situation? Like, seriously. So I feel like she's more mad at Kellyanne than she is at herself.
Yep.
She's projecting.
Yeah, she is. I think she was just like embarrassed, you know, like she talked all this shit about her the whole season, and then she ends up going home like that. It was probably just embarrassing. But yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
That's where we leave off the episode. So we're getting close to the end here. Do you have any predictions on how this season is going to pan out? Javier, if you had to pick a men and women's winner right now from who is left. Did you guys see the lightning behind me? There's not even a window behind me. The window is to my left. So anyway, and my blinds are shut. That's how like bright the lightning is currently. So, Javier, if you had to pick a men's and women's winner right now, who would it be? And Diego, this is coming to you next. So, have your answer ready. He's beating up his microphone. That's how excited he is to answer this question.
So for the men, at least, who do I want to win? Wes. Who do
Mhm.
I think is going to win? I think Brad is there. I think they're really setting up Brad to win this season. And I know I feel like he's definitely going to be in the final. And honestly, I'd be shocked if he doesn't win the season. And then for the women, I think that I'm rooting for my girl Ronnie. I think Ronnie has been laying low from the treehouse. I think she's the one who's least going to get targeted. If, let's say, Janae and Kellyanne win, they're not going to target Ronnie first. They will probably go for V or Kayla first before Ronnie. So I think if Ronnie makes it to the final, she has a good chance of winning it. So I'm rooting for Ronnie on the women's side, and I think Brad is going to take it, even though I'm rooting for Wes on the men's side.
All right, Diego, where are you at? Now that
Yeah,
your favorite is gone, you need to realign your allegiances here.
Yeah, I think my money is definitely on Brad and either Kayla or John A. I think she might win again. Like, I honestly can't see her just like beasting and then coming back every season and getting to the end and winning John A. But, Kayla has been doing fantastic, and she's amazing, and she's very fit, and she's very smart. So I totally can see her win. Yeah.
All right, I think those are all great choices. I'm sad to not hear Nehemiah's name. I wouldn't be mad if he won, but I don't think that like what we're saying
No.
is very off here either. It would be great for him to win though. But anyway,
Who do you think's going to win?
Yeah.
all right, I haven't admitted this yet, but I am incredibly spoiled on this season. So, oh yeah. See, and you didn't even know. You don't even know who I know wins. That's how good I am at being spoiled.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say anything about it, and just let it happen. But there we go. I haven't admitted that yet on a podcast this season. You guys are the first people to ask me a question that would make me have to admit it, and I wouldn't want to ruin it for anyone. So here we are. That's that. My lips are sealed on the
Good.
winner. Throw away the key into the tornado. It's gone forever.
Tornado.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you both for joining me on this episode. I am sure to be having you back, whether it's All Stars or Challenge USA. But before we go on our podcast, we always plug our internet shit, whether we're on other podcasts or your social medias. So while you guys were telling me your winner choices, I went ahead and made these nice little banners. So Javier, tell the people where they can follow you on the internet and anything you might do, whether it's like stream on Twitch or something. I don't know. People do like cool shit. So go ahead. Plug yourself.
So you can follow me at _ the Starboy on Twitter. That's pretty much the only place you can really find me. And I'm very excited to be. This is my first podcast. This has been great. Thank you so much for having me on TJ Hates Quitters. I'm super excited to be on more podcasts, whether it be in the Challenge or other TV shows. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, everyone.
Perfect. Diego.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at bitterjur with triple T, because it's like taken. There's like a million users with that name. And then I'm mostly active on Instagram. That's at Diego, and then _E, and _O. And I just promote a lot of information on LGBT or Latino LGBT organizations in my city, and send all of this information about volunteer and how you can help the community and how you can donate. So yeah, that's where I share most of that. So yeah.
I love that. What's your city?
Austin. I'm in Austin. Yeah, so
Texas.
I try to share as much information. Obviously, there's a lot of laws happening right now in Texas.
Yes.
So trying to just share as much information to make a little change in my community.
All right. So you said it's. Tell me if I have this right. Is that it? Did I spell it right?
It's let's see. It's DIIEE and then G_OO.
Oh, you didn't say the underscore.
Sorry, I just looked at my Instagram. I forgot.
You're gonna need to learn that. You gotta be able to rattle it off. All right, so follow all the cool stuff that Diego is doing within his community to promote things that we care about over here on Silent Podcast, like LGBTQIA+ rights. We love that here. So that was awesome to hear, Diego. Great. And then for me, you can find me on the block disobeying the law. No, I'm just kidding. I'm in my house all the time. But I'm KGD26 on basically any platform. The most important one is Venmo. Send that shit. And I am I'm tweeting about, like TV and then just like my life or whatever. I think my most recent tweet was, I'll tell you guys this. I was at the bar on Saturday night and the bartender, she was like, "Hey, you want to see something?" And she pulls out a fucking puppy. She put a whole ass puppy on the counter.
I
And I was
saw
like,
that too. Yeah.
like, what is my life?
Was it Kellyanne?
It wasn't. It was not. It was not. This woman does not look like she's been on a stand-up paddleboard before, but I can be incredibly wrong. So follow me for stuff like that. But in terms of silent podcasts, I am all over the place. After this, I will be recording with Katie about the Real Housewives, our weekly podcast, The Cool Water Show. So catch that. We'll be talking about Atlanta and Beverly Hills this week. Just finished up Circle coverage with Josie Ann, and that we did a postseason interview with Alex, who played Nathan, and his girlfriend. You should definitely check that out. I think the YouTube is actually a little bit better to check out than the podcast because you really get like the conversation dynamic of it. So check that out there. Obviously, TJ hates quitters, but what is cool is we're doing some preseason Challenge USA coverage. So we're going to give you 4 episodes of preseason coverage, one for each show being represented. So we'll get Survivor 1, Big Brother, Love Island, and Amazing Race, mostly because I don't watch any of those shows besides Survivor. So I need to learn a little bit more. So it'll be a learning session for me. But we'll definitely be covering the Challenge USA as well when that starts. But we have preseason content starting tomorrow for that. And last but not least, Katie and I just finished up our coverage on Stop Being Polite, which is the Real World Homecoming New Orleans. And we had an interview with the star of that show, Melissa Beck. The coolest fucking shit. Like, I cannot begin to tell you just how cool it was, but TLDR, she slid in our DMs and was like, "I've been listening to you guys the whole season, love your coverage, let me come on and talk to you." And we were like, absolutely. We're still like talking to her and stuff like almost daily via DM. Like, she's just so fucking cool. Even if you didn't watch the show, it's worth listening to because it's so nice to see a woman who, like, she explains it really well. She was in this like in between time of social media and like reality TV where like you were famous for like a short bit, but there wasn't like you couldn't become an Instagram influencer after or whatever it was. So like they missed like a lot of trains that we've seen like happening within reality TV. And she's just like so smart, so funny, so cool, so like poised, and I can't stop saying enough nice things about her. She is exactly what you think she would be, and like that's really cool to see from someone who you've like watched on TV as well. So listen to that, and then I have a project coming up soon that I'm not ready to announce yet, but I will very soon. So yeah, that's what I'm doing on Silent Podcast. Yeah. You'll get it soon. It's like season 1 is almost finalized. I just need to finalize it. I think I might record like a little bit of like a hype video, if you will, explaining it, and then I'll drop the news. But that's it. So make sure you follow, rate, subscribe, all the things you do with podcasts, So let me put up our little whatever it's called. Here we go. Follow us on Twitch and on YouTube by finding us by searching Silent Podcasts. We are on Twitter, silent_podcasts. On Twitter, you can either watch us live when we do live things, or you can see when we post our podcasts in podcast feeds over on Anchor. You can get our podcast Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to those. If you are listening to us via podcast form, please give us 5 stars. If you want to give us 4 stars, just like wait until you hear an episode you like and then give us 5 stars. Wait, we'll get better. We're working. We're improving every single day. So no 4-star below, 5, that's it. But definitely do that. You help us get seen, be noticed, and get to expand. And that's like the goal, right? So
yeah.
In conclusion, thank you again for joining me. I'm sure you'll be joining me on another show soon. You were great. I loved this. If you are listening to us tonight, thank you for listening live. We love our live viewers. And if you are listening to us any other time, enjoy your day, week, month, whatever. We enjoy it. So we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.